Hello guys, I hope you're all doing well. In today's video, I'm going to be giving my Strat a restring. I'm going to clean them up a bit and I'm going to give it a setup as well. I want to make sure this is set up right so it plays just how I like it. First of all, what you're going to need in order to do this is truss rod, a steel rule. This is a very helpful tool. It's called a Fritz ruler. It's got the different string height in order to set up the action really nicely as well. Definitely recommend getting one of these. Got a Phillips screwdriver. It's the crosshead one. A string winder. Some string cutters. This is fretboard conditioner, guitar body finish polish, some new strings, and a lint-free cloth. So, first up, I'm going to use the string winder to loosen up the strings. We're going to remove the strings and then give it a clean. So if you've never used a string winder before, just place it over the tuning peg and wind it counterclockwise towards you, and this will loosen the string. Once it's loose enough, just pull the string out and then thread it through the back. You can snip off the end. Ooh. Snip off the end also. Then put it through the body. Cool. So when you take the strings out, these can be quite sharp, so just wrap it round and make sure it's tied up like that. So just stops people from getting stabbed by the end of it. Cool, let's do the same with the other 5 strings now. Okay, so all the strings are removed. Now I'm going to take the fretboard conditioner. What you can do before this, if your fretboard is really grimy, mine is really not that dirty, so I'm not going to do it today, but you can get some really fine, super fine steel wool in order to polish up the frets, and that will take any kind of finger dirt residue which could be stuck on the either side of the fret. That will get that off and polish up the frets really well. But today, I'm just going to be using the fretboard conditioner. So, microfiber cloth, little bit of fretboard conditioner. Doesn't take a lot. And then I'm just going to really work that in. I'm going to work my way from this end of the fretboard, polishing in the direction of the frets, right up to the other end. This is made by Taylor. It's for my acoustic guitar, but it works great for the electric as well. My acoustic has a rosewood fingerboard. This is a maple neck. It's really great at breaking up any kind of residue and dirt and grime which is on the fingerboard. Helps break it up, and then the microfiber cloth just wipes that away. So once you're happy with that, we can just use the other side of the cloth, the drier side, and we'll just kind of really work that in and make sure that there's no kind of residue left on the fretboard. Cool. Now let's flip it over and do the back. The back will not be anywhere near as dirty as the fingerboard, so it will just take a little smidge, and we're just going to work that into the back of the neck. Cleaning the headstock can be a little tricky. What can help is if you get a really fine toothbrush, you can use that to clean out any dust on in between these tuners. And then once you're happy with all the wood, you can then polish up the tuners, get them nice and shiny. Cool, I'm happy with that. It wasn't that long ago since I did this, so it doesn't really need that much of a clean. but it definitely needs a bit of a setup because the pickup height is a little bit too low. Cool, so now let's work on the body. So we're gonna get our guitar finish polish and unscrew that. Gonna take a bit of the cloth which wasn't being used. Here we go, just put a little smidge on the cloth. Just a tiny little dab, goes a long way. I'm gonna start working this in. And this will just buff it up and get it nice and restore it back to its former glory. It's just like cleaning a window, guys. You have to use circular motions to make sure there is a streak-free finish. Okay, let's do the back side. Put a little bit more of that on. I'm just doing the paint work first, and then I'm going to go in and do the hardware and the scratch plate. Okay, now let's clean up the scratch plate. Now I've got the head of an electric toothbrush. This is a brand new one, and I'm going to use this just to kind of clean around the bridge and around the pickups, the parts that are really difficult to get to. I like to get this nice and clean, and toothbrush is a great way to do that. And then once you've kind of got all the dust off, you can give it one last little polish with the cloth. Get it nice and shiny. Look at that. Gleaming. Okay, so I'm finished with that. Move the cloth down this way and the toothbrush down this end. Okay, get a little bit of the fretboard conditioner and make sure, just a tiny bit, just put it on the nut. You want the strings to glide over that with no issues, and the same on the bridge as well, on these little saddles. I've got a brand new pack of the Silver Slinkies by John Mayer. These are made by a company called Ernie Ball. This is a 10.5 gauge to 47 gauge. I started using these about 6 months ago. I always felt like 10 gauges were a little bit too light and 11s were a little bit too heavy, and I find these to be the perfect balance. Some people like playing 9s in standard tuning. For me, that's way too light, and I guess I'm just used to heavier strings, so for me, these are perfect. Right, we're gonna start off with the 47 on the bottom. Put the heavier string on first. Unwind the string, thread it through the back of the bridge, make sure that's pulled all the way through. Alright, and then thread it through the eye, the little hole on the tuning peg. Make sure it's lined up in the nut. I like to give it just about that much slack. Alright, when it's through there, I just like to wrap it around once. Okay. And then I'll hold it there. Grab my string winder, put it over the tuning peg and turn it away from me. If I'm facing this way, it's a clockwise direction, but if I'm looking that way, it's going to be a counterclockwise direction. Just so it feels kind of firm. I'm not going to worry about tuning up yet until all the strings are on. So we'll leave this on until the end as well, and then we'll clip them all off once it's in tune. Alright, so that's string 1 on. Then we'll get... So what I like to do is do the lowest string and then the highest string. I've removed the block from the trem because I want to unblock it so I can actually use this trem, because I've had it blocked for a while and I just want to start playing it with the trem now. So I've taken the back off, the back plate off. I'm going to tune it up and then I'm going to adjust the trem so it floats basically. Alright, so let's tune it up. I've got the Fender Tuner app, which is a free app on the App Store if you want it. Okay, and let's tune Let's set it to standard. Done. Cool. It will take a while to get this balance because I'll tune it and then it will lift and then I have to pull it back and then it'll be sharp and I have to tune back. So it does take a while to get it flat, especially if you change string gauge or if it's been blocked off for a while like mine has. Alright, so it's basically in tune, it's not floating. So in order to fix this, I'm gonna have to loosen the springs up, which are 2 screws holding this here. So I'm gonna take my Phillips screwdriver I'm just gonna do 1 counterclockwise turn, whole turn on each spring. Okay, slack them off a little bit. Now we have to tune up again. And you basically have to repeat this process until the strings pull it so it floats. This is how simple the Strat bridge system is. It's perfect, but it's very simple. 2 screws holding the tension of all the strings. Beautiful. Perfectly floating. Alright, so once it is in tune and the bridge is floating, I'm happy with that. I'm going to stretch each string out, retune it, and then clip the strings off. Sometimes it can take a while for the string to really settle in. That's why it's important when you restring it to stretch it as much as you can without snapping it, obviously. If you leave it for the whole day or a few hours even after stretching it, you'll find the strings will kind of probably down tune as well. So it can take like a day. This is why I don't like restringing on the day of a gig, because it's almost guaranteed it's almost guaranteed to come out of tune a lot. I always do it the night before or ideally 2 days before. All right, nice and in tune. So let's clip the strings off. I'm gonna just take these, cut them as closely as I can without accidentally cutting the string off. And there we have it. Let's do it to the rest. All right, beautiful. Cleaned, restrung, bridge is nice and balanced. Again, restored to its former glory. Now let's set this up. First up, we're gonna adjust the truss rod because a guitar neck is not dead straight. There is a slight concave to it this way. And a way to check how level the neck is between fretting the first fret and the last fret, and then seeing if there's a gap between there, okay? So in order to press down the first fret, just put your pick underneath the A string, okay? So that's gonna press down now, just like that. That's gonna press down that first fret. This guitar has a fairly straight neck. Some people love very straight necks, other people like a bit more relief. So that's pushing down there. I'm gonna press down here, and I'm just gonna press down on the 8th fret. And I like to go with about 1.5 to 2 millimeters relief, which it basically has. It's pretty much perfect. That's exactly how I like it. So I'm not going to adjust it, but for the example of this video, if there's a big gap of like, you know, 0.5 centimeter here, or even like 4 mil, is too much. You want to pull that neck out. So you want to get your truss rod, put it in there, okay, and turn it clockwise, okay? Turn it away from you. That'll pull it straight in the neck. In order to give it relief, turn it towards you, counterclockwise, all right? Make sure not to overturn it, because the last thing you want to do is do any damage to your guitar neck and have to get a whole new neck. Cool. Okay, so now we're gonna set the action on of the strings. Now I'm gonna use a tool, this tool called a Fritz ruler. You can get one from Amazon, they're very, very cheap. And you can see that it has markings here to set the string height. So I'm placing this on the 17th fret. And I would say the action is a touch too high. I'm gonna lower it slightly on the low string. So you go string by string in order to do this. And whenever you adjust the action, you want to use the saddles, not these two screws here. Make sure you adjust these. These should be screwed the whole way down, and then you adjust the string height using the saddles. And there's two little screws either side of the string. You will need a small Allen key in order to adjust these. Pop it in here and turn it anti-clockwise to lower it. It doesn't need to be much. It could be like an 1/8 or a 1/16 of the turn. And you'll see it lower. Make sure they're balanced on both sides. Okay, check it again. Yeah, maybe a little turn more. Okay, perfect. Now you can just play on the 12th fret. Make sure there's no buzz. Yeah. I like to get it as low as I can with no buzz. And that feels I could probably even have that a little bit lower. No buzz on any of the frets, perfect. All right, so I'm gonna do the same thing for the highest string as well, using the fine marker on here to measure the low action. So let's do the same on the 17th fret. It's still a little bit high. Let's lower that a little bit more. Nice, that looks good. That feels beautiful. Right, I'm just gonna go and do the same for all of the other strings now. Okay, so once you set the action, give your guitar a bit of a tune up again. Just give it a feel. See how comfortable it is? Wow, that plays so much nicer. Check if there's any buzz. Especially on these higher frets. No, it's absolutely perfect. Really happy with that. Okay, so let's adjust the intonation. So what is the intonation? The intonation on a guitar is measured very easily. So an open string is going to be an E. You should also have an E on the 12th fret, which is the octave up. So let's get our tuner and we can measure this. All right, so we're gonna play our E. Make sure your guitar is perfectly in tune in order to do this. Okay, that's perfect E. Now on the 12th fret, that is perfectly in tune. So that low E has perfect intonation. If it's flat, you want to move the saddle closer. You basically want to shorten the length of the string. So you want to move the saddle using the two little screws on the bridge. You want to move those further this way. Okay? Right, let's do the D now. The A now. Okay. And then you have an A. That is also in tune. So this will all depend on how high the action is. The higher your action is, the more you have to push the string down to the fret, which will mean it will bend it out of tune a little bit. So then if it is sharp, you'll have to move the saddle further away, make the string longer. If it is flat, you'll have to move it closer and make the string shorter. Now that is sharp, so I'm going to move the string a little bit further away. Doesn't take much. Put it in tune again. Yeah, that is in tune. Yeah. That is also in tune. Okay, that's fine. So it was just that one string where the intonation was out. So that is still sharp. That G is still sharp. So I'm still gonna have to move it, elongate the string. That's more like it. Alright guys, perfectly intonated. Now, last but certainly not least, we're gonna adjust the pickup height. Alright, so in order to adjust the pickup height, we're just gonna go based on the Fender's standard specifications. These are the pickups that came with this guitar, and it's an American standard, so we can only measure between the top and the bottom string here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna push down on the string, and the distance, we're going to measure the distance between the pole piece, the metal pole piece, and the string. On the heavier string, on the pole piece closest to us, it should measure the distance between the string and the pole piece should be about 2.5 millimeters. Okay, so we're just going to press down on the last fret, and then we're going to measure that distance between the string and the pole piece. This one measures 1, 2. That actually measures 2 millimeters. So that's actually a little bit high. I could lower that a bit. So let's get our screwdriver, lower that down a little. Okay, that's looking better. Let's do this on the other pickups as well. So this one's too low for sure. We're just going to raise that up about 0.5 mil. Yeah, we need to raise that even more. Still going to raise it a little bit more. Okay, now that is just about perfect. Now for the last one, remember to press down on that last fret when you're measuring. Now that is measuring 1, 2, 3, about 3.5. So that has to be raised about 0.5 millimeter. This will definitely make an impact on how the guitar sounds. The closer it is, the higher the magnetic pull, so the more powerful pickups are going to sound, the louder they're going to be. Still raise that a little bit more. Okay, so that's on that side sorted. Now we're going to measure on the high string side. So we're going to flip it around. Okay, and now we're going to measure this at about 2 millimeters. That's a little bit too low. We're going to raise that up a little bit. Raise it up a little bit. There we go. Now let's do the same on the others. Still a little bit low. Raise that up a bit more. Okay, that one's fine, 2 mil. Again, that's a little bit low, we're gonna raise it up a bit more. Touch more. Okay, so I'm just gonna check the other side once more, just to make sure I'm happy with that. Okay, that looks about perfect to me. So we've got this side measuring about 2.5 mil between the pickup pole piece and the string, and then this side measuring about 2 mil between the pickup pole piece and the string. We don't need to do for any of the other strings because it's all balanced anyway. As long as you do the 2 ends, that's good to go. So pickup height is now set, so that should be pretty optimized and sounding amazing now. Okay, so the final thing before I screw the back plate on is just to make sure that the strap buttons are nice and tight. We don't want the strap falling off mid-practice or halfway through a gig. Make sure all of the screws on the scratch plate are also tight. Make sure that your tuning pegs are also nice and tight. For this you'll need a flathead screwdriver, and then also for the pickup selector as well, make sure the screws there are nice and tight, and on the input jack, and then there's a little bolt there on the input jack, make sure that is threaded up nice and tight as well. Cool guys, so let's screw the back plate on and then we're all done. So there we have it. Job done. Hope you enjoyed this walkthrough of me setting up my USA standard Fender Strat, and maybe it can help you set yours up too. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit subscribe, comment below if you enjoyed it and if you found it helpful. I'll see you on the next one guys. Peace out.